Welcome back to the Four Fires podcast. What you're about to listen to is actually a recording that Alan and I made back in January about goal setting, but I think it still applies. We're a couple months into the year now, and statistically, most of us have already forgotten about the goals that we set back at the beginning of the year. So this is actually a cool thing that I'm releasing this podcast later than I originally planned, but I hope it'll be valuable for you to revisit the goals, or if you haven't set any goals yet this year, take this time at the beginning of this year to set your goals and start working towards them. I hope you enjoy this podcast, and remember to live intentionally.
Welcome to the Four Fires podcast, where we talk about winning in all four of the essential areas of life.
Welcome back to the Four Fires podcast. Today I'm going to be talking with Alan Kemper, and we're going to be talking about setting your goals for the year, and specifically how he goes about setting his four-dimensional goals. Alan, good to be here once again. So the question I wanted to ask you was, how do you approach the new year and all your goal setting from a four-dimensional standpoint?
Yeah, so it has been an evolving process. So for me, I've always been, not always, as I've begun to get more serious about the Four Fires and my journey and this idea of living intentionally, I have tried to use the new year as a moment to pause and reflect a little bit on how the year went, and then to look forward into what's up ahead, and really to intentionally design my year. So that has evolved over the last 4 or 5 years. And so current state, I usually am finding myself that week in between Christmas and New Year's, sitting down a couple nights in a row and really thinking on each one of my fires and what do I want to accomplish. This year, I'm doing something a little bit differently. I'm creating quarterly goals rather than annual goals. I think that's going to allow me to be a little more specific in what I want to try to accomplish. So rather than just having that be an event that happens once a year, I'm setting things up quarterly, and then I'm trying to calendar everything that I have for my first quarter. Yeah. I mean, I calendar all my business meetings, so why not my workouts and why not my time with my kids? And you can do that 3 months in advance. So,
right. Yeah.
So that's the general framework of, kind of naming what my objective is in each of the fires. Yeah. And then there's 3 or 4 things that I want to get done in each of those fires.
When you hit those, that's going to make sure that your objective is being accomplished.
Yeah, certainly. For example, I've got some objectives around my professional fire, right? I'm trying to create a healthy, growing company that is spiritually influential, financially profitable, and betters my clients' lives. And underneath that, then there are some metrics, some things that we're going to do to measure to make sure that if those things are true, then I'm meeting my objective. Mm-hmm. So the structure for me, the thing that's worked, is to help me name, or is to name what it is that I'm trying to accomplish in each fire for this quarter, and then 3 to 5 actions that I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And it feels very attainable to me to be able to put those 3 to 5 actions on the calendar for the quarter.
Yeah, and they're like, something I've learned in the last year is I kind of grew up where it was like, first of the year, let's throw some goals and like talk about them, and then like I would spend the rest of the year not even thinking about what my goal was. Or it's like, oh yeah, it felt good to throw a goal up of like, I want to hit 10 home runs this year in my baseball career when I was in high school. But and then it was like, okay, it was cool at the beginning of the year to put that goal, but I like what you have here where you put the goal or the objective, but then you have specific things that you're going to do on a weekly basis, like the plan. So you have the goal, and then you have a weekly plan. I've learned in the last year is like, me and my wife have talked about this. We're like, we might as well not even set a goal if we're not going to take the time to create the plan that's going to help us hit the goal. And so I really like that about these 2, 3, 4 things that you have underneath each of your objectives is the specific plan on how you're going to get there. Because anybody can put, I want to triple my income this year. Like everybody says, I want to work out more. I want to, but having the specific plan that you're going to do every single week you can measure that and say, I didn't hit my plan this week, or no, I crushed it this week.
And for me, so we talk about one of the tools that we use at LEAD, we call it VGPA, which is vision. First, you got to know what you're trying to accomplish. Then you have a goal, and then you have to have a plan, and then you have to have some accountability.
Yep.
So the goals, plan, and accountability are really, really important. And for me, because of the rhythm that I've gotten into in my professional life, my calendar is my accountability. Like, if it's on my calendar, it gets done. And so I don't just skip a random business meeting that's on my calendar. So why would I skip breakfast with my daughter if it's on my calendar? Why would I skip date night if it's on there for my wife? Why would I skip a workout or a run? So that's been a really great tool for me to provide a level of accountability.
Do you have any other humans? Do you have any accountability partners?
That's a good question.
That you've shared all of these things with?
So that's a good question, because the things that in the past have made me very, very successful specifically in the physical area is when I have a big challenge, meaning something that I'm really, really scared of, or a community of people who I'm doing it with. It's interesting for me right now. I literally the ink is still drying on those on those goals. So it's a little later in the year than I'm used to. Today's the 8th, and so I was kind of finalizing those for this year. I've got people who know parts of them. You're the first person who has the goals entire.
I'm honored
in front of you, so you can hold me accountable. For Q1, and the other thing I have to do then, what I have not yet done, is put my Q2 planning session goal resetting on the calendar.
Right. The evaluation time. Similar to if you don't have a plan, you might as well not even set the goal. If you don't have a time to evaluate your plan, you might as well not even set the plan, or evaluate the progress that you've made so far. Okay, well, cool. I really like it's deeper than just throwing a goal up there that sounds really good, but having the plan, and then the big part is putting it on your calendar the same way that you would schedule your business stuff and your work stuff. So.
And for me, one of the things that's been really helpful is I used to set goals in kind of things I wanted to get, like, this year I want to get a new car, or I want to go on a hunting trip. But framing my goals through the 4 fires has been really useful to me. If these are the 4 essential areas of my life that I care about, then I should be intentional enough to want to grow and develop in each one of those areas. And so framing my year in terms of who I want to be in each one of those 4 areas, how do I want to see growth in each one of those 4 areas, has been really, really useful. So if the template is useful, I don't know, maybe we can scrub that and post it on the tribe, as a platform that people can use.
I'll put a link in the description to a template of how Alan structured this 2024 Q1 4 Fires goals. So Alan, did you have any of the 4 fires that was hard or hardest to quantify what your goals, what you wanted to achieve in that area? Did you have a fire that was hardest?
For sure. The physical fire is easy. I mean, I know what I'm trying to build and what I'm trying to maintain in that space, and that's easily quantifiable. I've got a clear objective in that space.
Yeah.
The people fire and the purpose fire, the idea of writing an objective statement, like what is my objective, was actually really, really helpful. The hard part for me was identifying the tasks and behaviors that would help to define, those, or help to deliver on those objectives. But one of the things that was important to me, like, I believe that perception is reality, right? And we've talked about this in whether you're a leader, you think you're a leader, well, guess who gets to define whether you're a leader or not? The people who are following you. You think that you're a good husband, guess who gets to define that?
Your wife.
The person that you're husbanding.
Yeah.
Your wife gets to define whether you are a good husband in her eyes. So for me, my people fire, one of the things I wanted to do is be sure that I was creating a space that was valuable to them. So for me, my kids are old enough to where I can ask them, hey, what do you need more from Dad in this quarter? For my wife, what do you need more of from me in this season of life? And she gets to tell me, like, hey, Alan, I love this and I love that, but I could really use some more of this.
Yeah.
And so then it's my job to step into that request.
Right.
So the people fire was interesting because I almost didn't write it. I asked my kids what they wanted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they told me.
Yeah.
What they said was, I want a day with Dad every month, which is an amazing ask, right? Like, yeah. And why would I say no to that?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
So I'm going to put it on the calendar and make it happen.
One full day just with, just with Ada or just with Cecil. Yeah.
And this really does come down to, one of the things that we've talked about is my life is my work. Like, from the time I wake up until the time I go to sleep, 365 days a year, I'm working.
Yeah.
Because the work that I'm doing is building a life. And I'm building it in all of these areas. And professional is absolutely one of those areas that consumes a lot of time and a lot of energy, but it is not the only thing.
Yeah.
And so if I will be intentional in my professional fire, that's just one area of the work that I'm doing. So I have to be equally intentional in all of the other areas of my life.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the purpose of this process, is to name it, to design it, kind of plan it. Rarely do we hit a target that we can't clearly see.
Yeah.
So that's the intent. But definitely the people fire was the hardest for me.
Okay.
Followed by the purpose fire. But the people fire is the one that is dependent upon other people's perceptions.
Well, because you could have written what you thought, but it's gonna be more impactful and effective for building your people fire if you ask those people what they would want from you or what they expect of you. And that probably, it can be scary or hard because you're like, what is this person going to tell me they want me to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of times they look at you like, what do you mean? Like,
yeah,
what do I need more of from you? Like, but if you get into that regular rhythm of like, look, it is my intent to serve you, or, like, it is my, if I am providing for you, I'm protecting for you, we're doing partnership, friendship, we're lovers, like these are our elements of our relationships together. What do you need more of? What do you need less of?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's good. Well, Alan, thanks for being open and vulnerable and sharing these things. And I appreciate this template. And like I said, I'll share it in the description so people can go and look at it and fill out their own answers in this template. And so I hope this was helpful for all the listeners out there, and hope you take some time to think about not just naming some cool goal that you could hit in all four of the areas, but be more strategic with naming a more, I guess, descriptive objective of what you want to accomplish in the physical fire, the purpose fire, the people fire, and the professional fire. And then listing out 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 action items that you're going to be doing every single week, that if you do those every single week for 3 months for Q1, that objective will be achieved. So thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Alan, thanks for being here. I always enjoy our conversation. And you guys go live intentionally. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Four Fires Podcast.